As a final act of hope, the father hurled the sacred sword high into the air. Then, turning his own body into stone, he sank deep into the ocean along with the sword, to give his 3-year-old son one last chance to escape. 20 years later, the sea outside the royal castle suddenly began to dry up. Within a single night, only a vast stretch of dry riverbed remained. In the middle of that barren land stood a glowing sword, buried deep in the ground. The soldiers tried countless times to pull it free, but none could move it an inch. When the king arrived and saw the sword, his face turned pale with fear. He recognized it instantly. The sacred blade of the late Emperor Uttara. A chilling thought struck him. Uttara's son, Arthur, might still be alive. And if Arthur were to draw that sword, the entire world would know the truth, that he was the rightful heir to the throne. The king immediately ordered that every young man in the kingdom come forth to try pulling out the sword. Among the crowd stood Arthur himself. Pushing through the people, he reached out and placed his hand on the sword. The moment he touched it, a surge of lightning ran through his body, and he instinctively let go. The nearby soldiers laughed, mocking his failed attempt, but Arthur didn't give up. He grabbed the sword again, this time with both hands, and began to pull. Suddenly, a blinding white light burst from the sacred blade, and the ground began to tremble. Before everyone's eyes, Arthur summoned all his strength and pulled the sword free from the earth. The king froze in terror and shouted for his guards to capture Arthur immediately. But the moment Arthur drew the sword, its immense power overwhelmed him, and he collapsed unconscious. When he awoke, he found himself in a dark cell, and in front of him stood a shadowy figure.